Part two. I mentioned synaptic connections quite a bit in the first clip, and I suddenly realized that some of you may not know what I'm talking about. So let me explain here. A synapse is the point at which two neurons in the brain, we've got 100 billion of these neurons in the brain, point at which two of these neurons connect with one another, thereby sharing electrochemical information with one another. Learning takes place only with the formation of new synaptic connections, not simply the reinforcement or the strengthening of existing ones. So in effect, you know, we are much in charge of our learning, a great deal in charge of our conscious learning at least. What is really meant when we say that we have learned something new? This means that we have been exposed to factual data, have committed that information to memory, and we can recall it when necessary. What this means neurologically is that we have formed a series of synaptic connections into a neural network which stores that information. So what is stored? The answer is semantic memories. These memories pertain to information that we come to know intellectually but have not experienced. Semantic memories are just facts stored in the brain. Information stored as intellectual or philosophical data. The knowledge exists as a possibility and not a reality. We can say that this type of learning of new knowledge is the philosophical embracing of someone else's learned experience. It is information that other persons have learned, but that we have not yet applied in our own life. Relying exclusively on semantic memory puts us in jeopardy because it is difficult for most of us to retain semantic memories over a long period of time. That is why this type of memory is labeled short-term memory. We do not experience the information fully. Most memories that we learn intellectually in the form of knowledge are available to us for a short time unless they are continually strengthened by repetition and experience, and association with well-established long-term memories. This strengthening, experiencing, and associating is another way of saying we need to stimulate the growth of new, longer-lasting brain circuits. This can only be achieved through attention to what we are trying to learn, and the presence of mind to focus the brain on desired inputs in order to fully activate the appropriate circuits. In addition to paying attention, applying focused concentration, we need to practice what we are trying to learn and to get emotionally involved, very important. Putting all these together, we can create longer lasting memories, thereby making learning more effective. Very far back in our genetic past, humans lived in an environment that was very threatening. Life was short, nasty, bloody, and brutish, and precarious. Being constantly alert to environmental threats kept humans alive and kept our genetic lineage intact. Times have changed, of course, and the contemporary threats to our survival have changed dramatically in both type and degree. Today, most of us do not have to face or helplessly deal with the imminent dangers to our well-being and survival of our ancestors. Starvation, illness, predators, massive environmental disasters, such as drought, really are no longer part of our lives, to a great extent. What has changed is that much of the neuronal hardwiring that was necessary for us to survive then, most of those networks and regions of neurological memory are still very much active in our brains of today. Over time, through repetition and association, the neural networks that help keep us alive have been firing for hundreds of thousands of years. These instinctual responses to environmental pressures are stored in the midbrain beneath the neocortex, or the newest part of the mammalian brain, much larger and denser in humans than in other mammals. The neocortex has been labeled the engine of reason and the seat of the soul. This involuntary system is what facilitates the mind that operates on our body and entire being without our conscious awareness. It is what maintains our internal order independent of self-consciousness. The The neocortex function in survival is to consciously assess the environment and complement with the body's sensory organs. The neocortex scans all the perceivable or anticipated potential situations in its environmental surround in preparation for bodily action. The neocortex has the ability to predict, prepare for, and to expect future moments. Excuse me. When the neocortex notices interruptions in the familiar external environment through its internal representations, it immediately prepares the rest of the body for action. In this way, we are ready to respond to the external environment and then afterward return to a state of balance. That is, of course, if everything is functioning normally. The neocortex looks for patterns of familiar stimuli, known as pattern recognition, so that it knows what to anticipate and how much it needs to be prepared for what might happen. Comfort, familiarity, and predictability are what we are hardwired to desire in order to sustain and maintain a mode of bodily survival. As in all other species, we have a built-in mechanism to protect ourselves from unknown, foreign, alien, and potentially dangerous and threatening stimuli. After assessment by the neocortex, our automatic reactive midbrain, which includes our hypothalamus, our thalamus, our pituitary, and our basal ganglia, and our autonomic nervous system are all activated to meet the perceived threat. Fear and aggression tend to be the dominant responses to perceived environmental dangers. Most of us then naturally fear the unknown, the unfamiliar, any environmental stimuli that threatens to disrupt our comfort and predictable behavioral responses. We become chemically prepared for what our brain cannot neurologically or chemically predict. And the unfamiliar and the unknown turns on our survival responses. Most often that survival response will result in flight. Better safe than sorry. If we are afraid of the adventure of the unknown, we are probably living in a state of mind that replicates survival only. In the survival mode, if we cannot predict how an experience will feel, because we lack any related past memories that have already been experienced as a set of feelings, we will avoid engaging in that experience. How then can we ever experience anything truly unknown without fear?